Okay, it's the next day, and it's actually 24 hours later. From the last video, you've seen when I hooked this up, and this is the Navac 12 CFM. What does have the capability of going down to 3 microns of vacuum. But of course, that's rated right at the pump, and anything right after the outlet, as soon as you add hoses, that rating goes down. So whatever your vacuum pump is rated at, anything you add after the vacuum pump will always diminish your rating. You have to understand that. Another thing, this has been on 24 hours. Whether it's a 1 CFM pump or a 100 CFM pump does not mean how far down it will go, because if you have a 100 CFM pump and it was rated at 100 microns, you aren't going to get any lower than that. You're not going to go any faster than the restrictions too of your valving use. In this case, this is a Courier, and they have those dumbass valves that most of us all hate because they're a proprietary valve, and unless you spend several $100s for their special adapter fittings, you're not removing this valve core. So I have the valve from AccuTools, the valve depressors with extensions off the side of them, adapters, and when you press this in, it depresses the center of the valve. So I'm still pulling vacuum, and I'm only pulling vacuum from one side, and I'm pulling vacuum through a depressor, so I have the restriction of the depression. But I left it on the vacuum pump all night. Here's where I'm at. If you could read that, let's see if I could get the glare out of there for you. Come on. No glare. Yeah, it just wants to give me glare. I'm up here in the bright sun. Thank God this roof is not white. It's a dark roof. And 55 microns. That's hooked up through Bluetooth through the micrometer. Now I'm going to turn off the vacuum source, and you're going to see, because we're about to fill it up. So let's watch the decay for the next 15 minutes, which I know it should be good because we had it on a nitrogen pressure test at 450, or was it 400, I can't remember, 400 and some PSI for 24 hours. And now I had it on vacuum for 24 hours. Now let's turn off the vacuum source. So now I'm backing out the valve core depressor. Let's get there. Okay, so now I have the vacuum backed out all the way. The vacuum pump is no longer doing anything. It's on, but it's no longer doing anything. We should see a decay. And here it comes. So this is our decay rate. And if you come down, you can actually graph this. Now, if you have technicians out on the field, and say either you're a quality company or you're a quality company who wants to have records and maintain them in your files to prove what was done, to make sure if you have to do diagnose and you send out a second technician to come in behind a installer technician or somebody of a less experience, let's say. You can actually have them set this up, put it and vacuum all night, and you can actually watch the vacuum decay, or not decay, but actually pull down. And then you can mandate that they do like a 15-minute decay test like this, and you can actually graph this out. So let's there we go. God, I could barely see. Okay, so the blue line here, we can see it's starting to go up now, and that's the vacuum decay rate. All this is being recorded, and so you can actually prove where it went down to. You can have your technician turn it off, and you could watch the decay rate, and you can watch where it levels off at. So I'm going to do this for 15 minutes prior to me filling it up, and then I'll stop, take a snapshot or hit a record, and that will go into my invoice permanently up in the cloud, because I use QuickBooks. I don't pay for any of the fancy software. If you're a small company, QuickBooks is a way to get you into something bigger. It's easy. There's a million tutorials on how to use all the features. I'll go into QuickBooks later on. I think small guys who start out should use online QuickBooks. It's so much nicer, and especially since you can save some of your stuff up in the cloud for a really low price, and you can input all your own supplies. But another topic for another discussion. Let's get back to what we're talking about. So we're watching my decay, and I don't have to bore you with watching paint dry or grass grow. So we're gonna cut this video off right where it's at, and we'll pick up on the next video after I wait for 15 minutes to elapse. And you could see the sight glass that I added in here, and nice and green. And you would be surprised on how many compressor changes I came back to, that these, you can't even see through the sight glass because they're all copper coated. And that's another discussion. You guys can look that up. What causes copper coating? Automotive guys, you don't even know about this, but this is why moisture is such a bad thing, and acid, and this system has acid in it. But yeah, when you come across a sight glass and it has a nice copper color to it, you know somebody else already destroyed the unit that was in there, and your next unit if you don't go through all the right procedures. So catch you in a few minutes.